Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So on Saturday, I went to the grocery store, and what I saw was even more empty shelves than the last time that I had reported going to the grocery store. This time, I'll say bread was in stock, though probably about a fourth the amount of bread that would normally be in stock. Many items were completely out of stock. Um, the meat section was almost empty. The freezer section had many empty areas. Yes, even toilet paper was very low in stock. There was toilet paper available, but again, low in stock. Anyway, I mean, there is food available. Um, Even yogurt was, uh, there were very few options available. Uh, but, yeah, I mean, there is food available. Definitely. There's definitely food available. But more and more, the more affordable food is not in stock. And, so your options go higher in price and the number of options shrink considerably. And now this was a large national chain known for low prices. That doesn't really matter. You can go to the more expensive stores. You're still going to see empty places on the shelves and so forth and so on. So we've got, reducing options for food and other items. More and more empty shelves. And prices going up while wages, no matter what, wages are still stagnant. They're not declining, but they are stagnant. Prices on cars have gone up, and there are not many vehicles that are being produced except for the highest, the high-end vehicles, the most expensive ones. And even the price on used vehicles has increased considerably. I mean, a lot. You're not going to find a truly affordable used car on, on a budget right now. So, rent is going up, and the availability of houses for purchase are very few. What are available cost a hell of a lot more than they did, 2 or 3 years ago. What does all this mean? What is it? What is this? What is the effect on this, on society? Is that people are, even if you're able to feed your family, even if you're able, you have a vehicle and so forth, and a roof over your head and so forth and so on, the effect on this is societal anxiety, which is rising and rising, worse and worse all the time. And meanwhile, what are we hearing about in the media? We're barely hearing about this in the mainstream media. Instead, what we're hearing about is Russia, and the whole thing with Ukraine has been going on since 2014, and yet now all of a sudden we're hearing about it. But we're not going to hear about the living conditions of people living in the Donbass region, which is at the heart of all of this. We're not going to hear from the media or our government about the Minsk Accord, which I talked about in one of my last videos. They're just not going to talk about it. That would entail using diplomacy instead of threat. So people are anxious about that. And what happens when I've talked a number of times on this channel about Maslow's hierarchy of need. And what Maslow's hierarchy says is that the more you feel at threat, the less you're going to pay attention to, higher forms of thought. If you're worried about feeding yourself, you're not worried about dating or your social life. You're worried about surviving. So this is where people are at this point. The rich are afraid of losing their wealth or reducing their wealth. Not even losing their wealth. They're afraid of their wealth being reduced, even if they have enough money for, 200 lifetimes. They're worried about it being reduced to 100 lifetimes worth of wealth. As of this morning, as I'm recording this, right this minute, the Dow Jones is down by over 600 points this morning. So that is a reduction of roughly 3,000 points in a week or so. So does that mean anything to a person that's living on minimum wage or fixed income that has nothing in the stock market? No. For people that have a 401k, or a retirement account that relies on the stock market, yes, that's important to them because they're relying on this for their retirement. I've been advising people to take their money out of the stock market for a long time, but it's unlikely that they're going to do so until there is an absolute crash. But, that is only happening fairly gradually. So they're still basically believing that it's going to come up again. And you might see, like I said, I've said before, this stair-step approach, this stair-step phenomenon, where, the market goes down, it goes up a little bit, and then it goes down again, then it goes up slightly, it drops by, 500, 600 points, it comes up by 200, and then it drops another 4, and then it climbs up by 1, and then it drops another 3, but it's always trending downward. There is nothing that is going to bring the stock market back up again. The Federal Reserve already made it clear that they are not bailing out, or they're slowing down on bailing out the failing banks. They are not buying up bonds and junk bonds and stocks and all this kind of stuff, which is the only thing that has been propping up the market. They're not handing out, no 0% interest loans anymore. So as the stock market declines, what we're going to start seeing, as I've said before, is that when stockholders see their wealth declining, they're going to demand that companies start laying people off, to reduce costs. And so the first thing you're going to see is fewer "we're hiring" signs. That'll be the first thing. Then the people that are working are going to get their hours cut. Then there are going to be people getting laid off. So you got less food available, people able to buy less food, people struggling to keep a roof over their head. Well, yeah, so they're going to focus on, whatever, to take their mind off of their own condition right now, which they are led to feel is their own fault. Instead, they're going to pay attention to whatever the media is telling them to pay attention to, and they're not going to look further into the facts behind it. They're not going to look up the Minsk Accord. They're not going to try and understand what's going on in the Donbass. They're not going to look at, China's view on Taiwan. They're just going to keep on allowing themselves to be led emotionally into a worse and worse state of anxiety. Where do you think this is going to lead in our society? Because it's not good. I mentioned before that people think that war is somehow going to fix the economy. And let me explain what happens in wartime. Like during World War I, look up the turnip winter. Because Germany was suffering through a famine during World War I. The Russian Revolution began in 1917 during the First World War. And the Russian Revolution, the Bolsheviks were against continuing in the war. French soldiers went on strike. French workers went on strike. British workers went on strike. So, if you think, oh, well, it's going to create jobs and all this kind of thing, no. These people were against how little they were getting paid and the working conditions and the price of food and all of these things. So they conducted massive work stoppages. Right now, look at what jobs are available. Are they things that actually contribute to our society? Improving our society. What, working for McDonald's, Burger King, Walmart, in what ways do, or makeup companies or what have you, are these things contributing to the betterment of our society? And the answer is no. Even if you shop at Walmart and you say, oh, okay, well, that's sustaining the availability of food, whatever, but all the money goes from your city, your state to another state to go into a bank account. It's not being recycled back into the economy. So at some point, we are at the breaking point. We are there. And paying attention to and screaming about Russia and China is not going to help at all. So, in this case, I'm going to say the government is absolutely at fault. But who owns the government, which is the corporations? If the government actually listened to the people, we're not in favor of a war with Russia or China. We're not in favor of any more wars at all. We want the military budget reduced. We want diplomacy. We want peace. But what's happening is that they're trying to capitalize on your anxiety and to get you to back up their drive toward war. Previous wars have been fought overseas. They didn't hit the continental United States. This time that's not going to happen. This time, if we start a war with Russia and China, it will come to the continental United States. Have no doubt about that. Whether it's actual troops on our lands is questionable. But missiles, bombs, etc., yes, that will absolutely happen. We will feel it here. So, the best things that we can do is tell the media to stop talking about Russia unless they are talking about the Minsk Accords. Unless they are talking, tell your elected officials, stop talking about it unless they're talking about the Minsk Accords, unless they are trying to reach a diplomatic agreement. A diplomatic agreement means both sides having to sit and talk, and what Russia is asking is completely reasonable. You know, so I can't tell you to not be anxious. I'm very anxious about all this myself. But until we start acting, then it's just going to keep getting worse. It's time to get active. It's time to start doing something, calling your officials, responding to corporate media, and opposing their presentation of things. We can't wait. We cannot wait. There is no more time for dawdling. It is time to do something now. Share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.